A high school sophomore came into my classroom, and he wanted to talk. He shared with me that he was gay and that he had a boyfriend who was older, much older, in his 30s. He also shared with me that he was sexually active and that his mother and his grandmother were supportive of this. I asked him why, and he said, well, this man pays for the groceries and the bills. I felt this rush of heat as my heart constricted, and I told him that I was going to have to report it, and he seemed fine with it, almost relieved. And as I shared the information with the assistant principal, I was informed that the situation was known and that there was nothing that could be done because the mother and the grandmother were aware. And then I was told, this boy has a history of this. I remember leaving the school feeling disturbed. Why did this one story bother me? I mean, other students have shared stories with me, and why did I feel like I let this teenager down? As the months passed, I started to feel a sense of depression come over me. I tried to ignore it and pretend that I was just working too much, but the flashes of images and memories were more intense than ever. And I had this sense of constant anxiety. I felt like a liar. I was lying to myself and I was lying to others because I did have a secret. This one night, I woke up from a dream of a kid staring at me. Now, the boy in the dream and the student had the same expression: dull, scared, confused, and needing acknowledgement. I recognized the boy in the dream. It was me. And the secret that I was hiding was I was sexually abused. Not once, but on many occasions throughout my high school years as an athlete. When I was 16 years old, I represented the United States in international springboard and platform diving competitions. The pressures and the sacrifices of competing at such a level introduced me to a world of secrets. The relationships between athletes, coaches, medical examiners were heightened and manipulated. While I was still developing mentally, emotionally, and physically, I was the prime prey of a predator's fantasy and the perfect candidate to be groomed into the world of silence, shame, and denial. You see, the sport of diving is rather expensive, and my parents were struggling to make ends meet. I was moving up quickly through the USA diving ranks, so a lawyer wanted to help, and he created a fund at a bank to help pay for diving expenses. And then he also introduced me to other professionals who wanted to share their expertise for a price. I was taken to the city to meet a doctor who wanted to help me get into the university, and I was left with him for the weekend or for the week on several occasions. And then I was passed off to someone else, and to others, and still others. I was wined and dined, and my relationship with these professionals started to intertwine with my family's well-being. The financial pressures started to ease through the pro bono services of free doctor's appointments, medicine, eye exams, dental appointments, etc., for the whole family. At the same time, my coach started to pay more attention to me. He saw my potential and he encouraged the Olympic dream. He started to take me to overnight trips to practice with the university team. He introduced me to alcohol and to a game that he called Lick the Lollipop. My teenage mind thought he was fond of me. He even gave me a nickname, Little Cocksucker. When he said it in public, I felt shame. But how he said it in private, I felt special. Shame, special. The dichotomy of these two words started to blend together and create confusion. I thought that I could handle it just by saying no. But my teenage body betrayed me. If the wind blew against me, my hormones reacted, so it didn't matter who touched me. My body responded even against my wishes. I realized that I had two alternatives. I could disappoint the trifecta, which consisted of my parents, the coach, and the benefactors. Or I could get it over with as quickly as possible and make sure that no matter what, he climaxed and I didn't. I convinced myself that this gave me control, and it was no longer sex, even if my teenage body betrayed me. But that didn't always work. I never told anyone about the coach because I wanted to go to the university on a scholarship, and I wanted to go to the Olympics. But just like that student did with me, I did try to tell someone. When I tried to tell my mother about one of the professionals, she slapped me across the face. And she said, "It's not nice to make up lies about people. He is an upstanding professional in this community, and he is helping the family. Everyone in this family has to make sacrifices, and you do too. If something ever really happened, it was probably your fault." So, I tried to hide everything and push it way down. And then I realized that I had to compartmentalize. I had to put the thoughts, the memories, the emotions somewhere in my head so that I could portray what I thought straight acting was. But sometimes the puzzle pieces just didn't fit. So I created these identities to help survive. There was the dutiful son, the student, the diver, the sinner, and the teacher. I was juggling anger and resentment, confusion, attraction, and pleasure inside my head just so that I could face and function throughout the day. As the years passed, I tried to hide everything behind a smile, but I was slipping into depression. By the end of December of 2016, in spite of my fight, depression took hold. I gained over 32 pounds. My health was terrible, and I felt like I was no longer a contributor to society. So, I wrote a note to my partner of 15 years. And I said goodbye to our two adorable Boston Terriers. And I went into the garage to kill myself. As I sat there inhaling the exhaust fumes, I heard this voice. And it said, "This isn't fair for Nathan to find you like this. Get up out of the car and go back into the house," which I did. And I fell on the living room floor and I cried. A real cry, an ugly cry. And when I was exhausted and I couldn't cry anymore, I pulled myself up and I promised that I was going to break my silence and say something. The Centers for Disease Control states that 1 out of 6 males are sexually abused before the age of 18. 93% of victims know their abusers. Recent events have shed some light on this secret, but the sexually abused male athlete is still hiding because of our society's conditioning that it's just a mere hazing, a rite of passage, and the myth that males can't really be sexually abused. The long-term effects of a child sexually abused may not be apparent until later in life, such as depression, PTSD, denial, and even suicide. Each victim's experiences and responses are unique and different. If you could take a moment and step into the shoes of a sexually abused person, maybe you can understand why we don't report it, especially males, and especially male athletes. Because of our society's expectations of what it is to be a man. The cultural problems of sports regarding medals and money over the well-being of athletes. And the unawareness of grooming and stigmatizing might help you understand this epidemic. Do I still wake up every morning feeling like it's my fault? Yes. Do the constant ramifications impede me of doing my daily chores and obligations? Sometimes. Do the experiences keep me from being a contributor to society? Hell no. I no longer have to carry those labels that I created for myself because someone else, a lawyer, a doctor, a mentor, a coach has made for me. By standing in front of you today, I am breaking my silence, and I am creating a voice. I am no longer a victim. I am a survivor.